unpromising race pupil returns.
He does not so much as glance at the object.
Stop showing me your pathetic cup. I have no interest in it.
He had nothing to do with it. Does he strike you as the kind of man who puts mugs into trash?
My unpromising race pupil entered the harbor and used my superior to give me orders. I salute your cunning and will remove the body from the tree with my bare hands.
You're so noble, Measurehead.
There's a but.
But while I am gone, someone must stand guard on the bridge. That someone needs to be you. Both of you.
That would mean you're openly showing the people that you're taking the Union's side.
This is the uncomfortable result of not taking it on ourselves. I can live with a compromise.
Listen to your little friend. He is wise in his childlike way. His mysterious race may yet prove fierce competition to my heroic haplogroup. Yes, that is precisely what it means, homunculus. This is not going to happen any other way. Babe, see that they stay here the whole time.
The woman's gaze follows Measurehead as he leaves.
So, you guys are like cops or something? Cool. I like men with guns and power. I'm Katya, by the way.
You hear that? That sound. He's breaking something.
Yeah, Jean-Luc must be really tearing it up over there. I wish I could see it.
Look at you! RCM rent-a-cops! Guarding that bridge like Everett's lapdogs! Is this where it's at now? The RCM is for sale!
And who are you? What is your business here? Why are your clothes 4 sizes too small for you?
The man turns to look behind him at the behemoth appearing around the corner, approaching him, walking past him.
The corpse has been removed from the tree. Stand down and congratulate yourself. You have sided with Ray's victory today. And what you had to do was to become a Union man for all to see. Racists are generally not very good examples of their race. I am not like them. I am craniometric perfection. I have taken the trouble to permanently draw a phrenologic grid on my skull and features. This should dispel any doubt.
True, that is a noble cranium. But you got a hard noggin yourself.
Your silence betrays your inferiority. You do not have a reply. You should enter a deep race slumber. Perhaps in 4,000 years, there is need for a servile homunculus.
Hola, wandering man. How can I help you? A key, huh? What door is this key supposed to open? Oh, say no more. I got you. I got that key right here. And let me tell you, it's mighty good of you to help us out during the strike. Working class solidarity, as they say. Oh, so the none of the above type, are you? I get it. I like to keep my distance too. But it doesn't matter. It's a good thing you're doing. What you're looking for is a basement door behind the greenhouse. That's behind the Whirling in Rags. That's all I know. Our organization is what you call compartmentalized. Means we keep out of each other's business.
Okay, but where did you get the key from?
The janitor gave it to me. Nice fella. We talked about life and things that really, truly matter. None of this mess we're in. This jiving and juggling. What's it for? To feed our children, I guess. I'm more of a philosophical dock worker. I like to talk about the big picture stuff. Who I am, who you are, what we are fighting for.
He means he's not going to tell you cause he doesn't know. But he will shoot his mouth off with you now that you're working for Everard. Ask him about the Hardy Boys.
Los Hardys? They're an independent militant group. A bit too high-strung, but it comes with the responsibility. They're sort of like you. Preserve the rule of law and all that. Except it's Everard's law. But really, they're just like you.
Is he actually comparing you, an officer of the law, to some neighborhood vigilantes? Come on, he's just trying to keep the peace. The man whispers a jaunty tune. A coastal breeze ruffles his hair.
The mercenary, eh? Who could have killed him? That's indeed the question. Why even do such a thing? What a thought! Why would noble workers resort to such a thing? Unless they were pushed, of course. Your dead guy was an enemy combatant. He was an agent of the opposition, attempting to undermine our honorable efforts. I ain't the murdering type, but that's just me. Large organizations like our union have all sorts of men, with all sorts of skills.
He's not lying about not doing it himself. He means a more violent faction could easily take care of such a thing.
Understood. This has been of limited use. Still, thank you.
No problem. I wish the best to you in your search. Sure, I'm glad it's not my search.
The corpse lies on the ground among the remains of an absolutely demolished pinewood branch. It's gently laid on one side.
Mr. Measurehead has done a good job. Nothing is too broken or compromised. The victim is ready for a field autopsy. Yes, 1. Investigation of the scene. 2. Initial examination of the victim. 3. Field autopsy. 4. Transportation of the body to the morgue. We are on number 3.
The RCM's 4-phase murder scene processing manual.
The fuck are they on about?
Cop's gonna cut his shit up!
No, you and I are detectives. The honorary rank of detective signifies our ability to handle the entire incident chain, from autopsy to cleanup to social work, everything. An honor and a burden attached to your rank once you've proven yourself able, usually after 5 to 8 years of field work. Mine is Lieutenant Detective. You are. Your station would not have assigned you on this case if you weren't. Now,
The lieutenant adjusts his glasses and takes a deep breath.
come on, officer. You know what a field autopsy is. You've done 100 of them.
What you do know is, at 18.9 kilometers, the dormant shield volcano, Corpus Muindi, is the world's highest summit, and the failure of the 38 single, Epui Descent, to crack the top 20 was the death knell of disco. But what a field autopsy is, you have no idea.
Unfortunately, no. And hygienically? Let's not go glove hunting, please. Let's use division of labor. I perform the anatomical side, while you take notes. That's right.
Yeah, we got this. We're smart. The dead man stares in silence as you crack open the ledger. The bright red paper is covered in boxes and lists, describing the condition of his skin and organs in 3 parts. Above those, an 11-field info form needs filling out first. It begins with,
That's you.
the corpse is indifferent to your scribblings, just lies there. The next box says,
KK57-0803.0815.
KK equals Kim Kitsuragi. 57 equals Precinct 57, followed by his date, 0803, and time of arrival, 0815, on the scene. He's indexed the case after himself, not you. That's because he doesn't want to bring up the messy question of your initials.
And what would that make the alphanumeric? I do. KK57-050 next. NA. Next. NA. Roughly 50.
Try 40. The damage is so extensive, it's better to err on the young side. He nods.
Mondial.
Fair to olive-skinned, from the Isola of Muindi. This is as vague as it gets. You might as well say whitish. The pudgy mess of curdled meat looks neither mondial nor anything other.
Fucky, fucky!
Male.
Pigs can have sex?
Nor does he look male, with his pregnant belly and indistinguishable face.
We're still going with March 4th. 51. What else? 9. Body identified by is non-applicable. 10. Case number is the same as the coroner's case.
KK 57 0503 08 1-5 listens, motionless, with the cargo belt still around his neck. Only one box remains.
None. At least not after the initial examination. Interfering with the body's position or wounds post-mortem.
How did you not know that? Aren't you a cop? You're leaving a weak impression here. Say something sure-handed. Don't overdo it. It's okay to be unsure. A silent nod. The lieutenant places his gloved hand on the corpse's chest, as if in preparation.
We should start the post-mortem.
The corpse cannot feel Kim's hand on his chest. It no longer meaningfully interacts with its surroundings. A thicket of boxes and lists on red copier paper tries to answer why.
Clothes. The deceased wears armored boots and white briefs. The make of the briefs is Babrodine, I think. Let's see.
See, it's happening.
Babrodine, yes. Inexpensive. Size M. Color white.
The disappointment is palpable. The red-haired thing was expecting something more lurid.
The rest of the clothes have been removed post-mortem by scavengers in order to get to the victim's ceramic armor. Officers are in search of the missing pieces. Removal of the boots is left for processing.
It would be clever of you to omit the boots altogether, sire. If you are to keep them for yourself, as you ought to, you have deserved them more than anyone else.
The boot has a serial number. It's E50.100.100. The lines between the plates are in the shape of the alphanumerical. The number is purposefully concealed by the design. Tattoos. The upper torso is covered in a single, continuous tattoo, resembling a map of the night sky. It reaches from the right shoulder to the heart. The ink is blue and white. The assistant has a color photograph of the markings, to be added to the case files as document A1. The photo is taken on the scene, using a Trigat Mini. The deceased has a belt for airlifting cargo around his neck, tied with a hangman's knot. Color yellow. Length 3 meters. There is a buckle on the other end. Well-nourished, athletically built, measuring 1.8 meters. Generally consistent with age 42. Preservation is good. Ambient temperature below freezing.
The spine is bent more than the lieutenant compensated for. This buster's actual height is about 1.85. And no, you could not take him straight on.
Of course, I undercompensated. Body hair is light brown. Distribution is consistent with the age. The deceased had male pattern baldness. Hair is combed back, short.
His hair feels wet, soaked with rain, cold to touch. Not that different from a living person after a swim.
Lividity is consistent with hanging. The head is congested. Contusions are present on the head, chest, and thighs. Consistent with stones thrown post-mortem. Low velocity.
Fucking low velocity? You think Kuno doesn't know what you're talking about? Velocity was fucking max. Talking shit about Kuno's velocity.
In addition, there are bite marks on the face, scalp, and chest. Consistent with predation. Ligature mark. The steel wiring. There's too much of it. We need to remove the belt so we can get to the ligature mark. Always good to think ahead. Now, we need to cut the belt to see the ligature mark below. Carefully, with as much precision as you can.
See, My pig is gonna fuck his head off.
No, he ain't. Your pig's a boring fuck.
After some deliberation, you sink the cutters into the knot tying the belt together. You squeeze the rubber handles together, sweat forming on your brow. Snap! The knot is slashed. Another cut and the belt falls apart like a flower bouquet, revealing the dead man's neck and the dark red ligature mark around it.
The rope rises to a point, leaving a gap in the ligature mark. The suspension point is in the back of the neck.
As it ought to. This is where its grip on the curdled meat is gentlest, pulling up.
Hemorrhaging is observed on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. The mark is well pronounced, consistent with a drop from 1 or 1.5 meters. Chest is intact, normal contour, abdomen is protuberant, pelvis intact, genitalia...
No! It's gonna happen, see!
I fucking knew it!
Genitalia is male and unremarkable. No evidence of injury.
The dead man's penis is average-sized, congested from the downward collection of blood. The testicles are uneven in length, hanging underneath. The genitalia is greenish. Marbling is present around the crotch. You should touch it.
Back is symmetrical and intact. Upper and lower extremities are intact, but asymmetrical. There are combat injuries on the right hand, thigh, and hip.
Bullets have bitten little pieces out of him. It must have been excruciating, especially the hip. Before you is a temple of pain that knew little tenderness in life.
In addition, I see smaller, residual scars, too numerous to count, covering about 30% of his skin.
From wounds sustained over 2, maybe more decades, dispersal and accumulation indicates long and active combat duty.
Last item, hands. Hands are clean, no sign of a recent struggle. Maybe I'm just not seeing them. Honestly, the stench is making it hard for me to think at the moment. Ooh. That's all for the external. Well done. What next? Central nervous system. I have nothing. Do you have anything on this man's central nervous system?
Of course, there is a moral to be drawn from it. A moral to this story.
Musculoskeletal. Purge fluid is coming from the mouth. Not injury related. Eyes and tongue protuberant. Hyoid bone. Let's see.
With his eyes almost closed, the lieutenant puts his hand on the dead man's throat and begins to massage it, gently. A rotting smell erupts from the mouth. Purge fluid runs down his lips, black and viscous.
Yeah, jack that fucker off!
The hyoid bone is fractured. The rest of the musculoskeletal system is intact. Unremarkable. Respiratory system.
He's really doing it. The dead man's teeth cut into his gloved hands.
Oral cavity shows no lesions. The victim has received dental implants, possibly after a combat wound. Mouth swollen. Hemorrhaging present in mucosa of the lips and mouth.
No scream, no sigh of relief rises from the darkness inside. It's humid there. Sickly sweet air, unlike anything living. You feel like you're about to throw up again, straight in that mouth of his. No, you don't. You can keep it in. You can keep anything in.
Hepatobiliary, NA. Are you a hepatobiliary expert? Same for toxicology and serology, NA. Cardiovascular. The body exhibits heavy lividity. Blood has gathered in the hands, feet, and neck. Hypostasis is visually consistent with the hanging. Gastrointestinal.
This will do.
Digested semi-solid food in stomach. Voila. What's next on the list? Let's see. We have bite marks, contusions on the head and chest, and a ligature mark encircling the neck. Head, chest, and scalp bite mark injuries. Predation by birds has caused damage to the body. Odontologist does not need to be consulted. And your opinion, officer? Fatal injury by seagulls? Those are mean, yes, but not that mean. Yes, it's... That's right. What's next? So, the scalp bleeds from a post-mortem head injury, a stone. The injury does not have the rim of an early inflammatory response. The perpetrator on the scene has confessed to causing it post-mortem.
At maximum velocity, fucko!
Has confessed to causing it at maximum velocity.
Coagulated blood sticks to his scalp and chest, where the countless stones have hit the dead man. Beneath, the description of injury. 2 boxes.
No, it's not.
Fucking fatal as shit, sailman!
Bitch saying your injuries weren't fatal, Kuno. You gonna let it stand?
I do what I want, see? Learn it.
Right. Next. A dark red abraded ligature mark encircling the neck, with a gap on the nape measuring, let's say, 7 centimeters. The hyoid bone is fractured, the cervical column intact. I see hemorrhaging on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. Depth of the mark, 1 centimeter. No signs of clawing on the neck.
Below the note, 2 customary boxes wait to be ticked. The man's head jerks to the side. The ring around his neck is visible. What was that about no clawing around the neck? You'd be clawing for your life. A column of cold air encircles you, rising slowly upward in the shape of a courtyard, bordered by cracked plaster, windows, seagulls perched on air conditioning units. A small green enclosure in the middle of a corral of tenements, Cape-side apartments, whirling in rags, and the fortress wall of Terminal B. Above it, a thin blanket of coastal stratus clouds. Higher yet, coalition airships guard over the 21 cordons of the zone of control. The air is crisscrossed with radio transmissions. The hair on your neck rises.
You will.
Why do you say that? Is it the seagull murder again, or are you serious? Okay. Why don't you think it was fatal? Honestly, I'm not sure there weren't marks on his wrists. That part got blurry for me. The stench. But you are right. There should be signs of struggle. Let's leave the cause of death empty for the time being. Let's wrap this up. I pronounce this field autopsy over. It was an irregular field autopsy. We did not establish cause of death, which is supposed to be the goal of an autopsy. But, personally, I do not see this as a parameter for success. We were thorough with the list of injuries too. We described them all in detail. What is there to say? Given the circumstances, it was a professional field autopsy.
Oh yeah, well done, Master Detective. Maybe a drink is in order?
I need a copy of that autopsy form. Then I will drive him to Faubourg for processing.
I'm sure we didn't get everything. There's always something.
Shoot, Looney Rooney. Come back later, Corporal. Amuse your...
Okay. I need a little help for carrying him to the holding pen of my kinema. I can take care of the rest.
There go those beautiful enamel boots. You will never own the full set now. May they rest in processing.
Continue working here. The locals, the case, or attend to your own business. I will meet you downstairs in the Whirling in Rags tomorrow morning, 7:30 sharp.
This means Lieutenant Kisuragi will leave the party until tomorrow morning. You're free to do side tasks and even the main case, though it might be more difficult. If you have nothing to do, read books or sit on the bench on the plaza.
This must be it. The basement door is weather-worn. The copper nails holding the upholstery in place have turned green from sea air, and there's a knocker shaped like a lion's head. The royal lion, Guillaume's kitten. This knocker will last a lifetime and then some. You knock silently. The upholstery muffles the sound. No response comes from the apartment. The leather upholstery is worn and rough against your jaw. You don't hear any movement. You try to be as silent as you can. It takes a bit of rattling of the handle to loosen the bolt. Finally, the door unlocks with a small clack. Thoughts race through your head. Good job. Let's go now. I'm sure there's nothing interesting in there. There might be important information in the apartment. I mean, there might. As you hold the open door, you can feel the air moving. A little draft, a whistle. A row of mugs sits on the shelf. Each one depicts a human figure. A dark-skinned woman grinning amidst mysterious symbols. A broad-shouldered man shoveling potatoes, and others. A little ring. Though cheerful, the images on the ceramic make you vaguely uncomfortable. There's something disdainful in the way the curves and lines of the bodies were drawn. It looks like the artist is celebrating diversity, but underneath, he's just making fun of these people. You ain't gonna change someone's mind by calling them a bastard. Yes, your broken mug friend would feel very much at home here. The same humor, the same mocking lines. The owner of this collection could be dumping his trash in the Whirling's container. An interesting little clue. Let's see where this goes. Clues have a way of magically connecting to other clues down the road. Who knows? Could be. But this clothes in a trash lead doesn't really seem like it's going anywhere. Still, good thing to keep in mind. You could ask Everard who this person is once you're done here. This is the flag of Revachol, the suzerainty. This isn't just one sun, but there are little suns dancing around the big sun. This is the sevenfold sun miracle. It's an optical atmospheric anomaly the first settlers saw. Happens in cold weather. 6 small suns around the big one. This complex halo phenomena is how old Revachol got its flag. The flag doesn't seem to mind. It's just a colorful fabric with a sun sewn onto it. Like all feudal flags, it looks like a children's drawing. The tear machine stands in the corner. A sign says your bottles clunk into the machine and the money appears.
You missed a good show before. A kid came by and completely fucked the tree to pieces.
He fucked the tree up! Fucked it good! It was porno!
Shoot that shit at Kuno, Pigonaut. So? Fuck, okay. Kuno's a giver like that, yes?
Kuno sent your fat ass running around like jello!
Look, Pig, Kuno sent you to rough some people up. Kuno played you. That happened. Now you and Kuno should move on.
Good idea.
Yeah, that's what Kuno said. Don't be saying what Kuno said back to Kuno. Get the fuck out of here, Patterson Kuno. After this shit, you better have something real interesting to say if you want to stay in Kuno's face.
Yeah, real interesting.
The fuck about it? You're testing Kuno's patience here.
Get lost,
Yeah? The kingdom of Kuno? The fuck do you want with it? The fuck? A mug in the trash? Is this about the fucking clothes again? Yeah, Kuno sees where this is going. Kuno's got that fast brain. You saying you pigs are after the mug fucker? 'Cause he's the clothes fucker?
I can't hear you, Kuno! Speak louder, Kuno!
Shit, that's tense. Someone's going to the beat-down basement, huh? Mug guy gonna get tied to the radiator.
The kid may have something there. He's already come up with an interrogation technique too.
Kuno doesn't know who put that shit in there. And if he did, he wouldn't squeal. But if you find out, maybe you can...
Tell the Kuno who it was. He's curious. He likes putting two and two together here.
Stop turning into a pig, Kuno! They're trying to get you hooked on the snitching! Get away from my Kuno.
Yeah? Get your bacon shit away. Kuno doesn't like to be seen with the popo. Get your shit done and out of Kuno's face. Yeah, whatever. Kuno doesn't give a shit. The fuck about it? Just a lone pig trying to sugar talk some kids. That seems pretty fucking suspicious to Kuno.
Yeah, you tell the faggoty, Kuno!
Looks like you're a faggoty now, whatever that means. The suspicious question doesn't really work in antagonistic situations.
You're testing Kuno's patience here.
Get lost,
Kuno doesn't fucking care.
An inconspicuous pile of the roofing material, Eternite. An inconspicuous pile of the roofing material, Eternite. Because it's nice and orderly. Well-laid pallets. Rhythmic pattern calms your mind. Mammals like this stuff. An inconspicuous pile of the roofing material, Eternite. All around you, rain falls on the great city of Revachol. Rain drips from the eaves and floods the gutters, washing the filth away. The spring thaw must be here. The snow is melting. Looking up at the sky, cold water dripping from your hair. Grey sky like great battleships, clouds colliding with one another. Rain falls down on the world. Humid, your coat shields you from the rain while the city shivers around you. Sheets of rain over the water, a flight of stairs leading into the ocean. Wave after wave washing the coast of Martinaise. The ruins of a half-sunken sea fort crumble on an inlet beyond the Bay of Revachol. Ghosts rise into the sky. The skyscrapers of La Delta, the financial district. Faint golden light seeps from the office windows. Urban coastline, rain dripping off Eternite-covered roofs. Cinder blocks left over from half-finished construction. A defunct research and development building, once seized by revolutionaries. An old wooden church stands on stilts above the water. Coal City, end of all lines. Urban coastline, rain dripping off Eternite-covered roofs. Cinder blocks left over from half-finished construction. A defunct research and development building, once seized by revolutionaries. An old wooden church stands on stilts above the water. Coal City, end of all lines. Your hair is an oily mess flecked with ash from neighboring coal plants. Smokestacks rise somewhere in the distance. The great gates of the industrial harbor are locked. A chill runs down your back. You shudder like an animal trying to shake water from its hide. Behind the gates, heaps of supply crates, red and blue metal shipping containers, slick with rain. The Greater Revachol Industrial Harbor is an artificial mountain range. Immense wealth resides within, and immeasurable poverty in its shadow. La Drusienne, King Dri's passenger harbor. Cruise ships flanked by dock arms. Cranes watching over the mouth of the river distributary. Couronne, the lower middle class. Distributary after distributary cuts the city blocks in half. 7-story buildings trail off into the rain. A silvery curtain of rain over the houses. The class divide. You have never been there. They don't need the law east of the river. Capeside apartments. Tower blocks crowd one another. 4.46mm bullets still lodged in their war-torn stone walls. Hallways collapse from the mortar hits of a war that was lost long ago. Clotheslines go to waste in the rain. Radios play. The news at noon. A yard. Rain falls onto the roof of a woodshed. The lingering odor of decomposition mixes with that of damp soil. A traffic jam. Rain thrumming on the roofs of motor vehicles. Inside, drivers watch water streaming down their windshields. The statue of a king shudders. He too is cold. The canal bridge has been raised. The road ascends. A raised motorway loops above the ghetto. Beneath its concrete columns, a sea of rooftops, woodwork, and tar stretches northward. 4-story buildings as far as the rain can fall. The snows melt in Jamrock.
Have a brother in the cut. Where the wood at?
To be in Martinez, where no one goes, at the runoff point of a long-forgotten canal, in the whitest part of town. In the shadow of the day the revolution fell. Standing in the rain, looking north, where Jamrock Rock City stretches inland. In the rain-swept distance, above the rooftops of Jamrock, a repurposed silk mill stands perched above the motorway exit. Precinct 41 hunches in the rain. Your vision blurs. You wipe your face with your hand. The rain stings your eyes, making you look up and blink. Coalition aerostatics hang like apparitions under the cloud cover. Way up there, where rain forms, rotors flutter silently. Your sight clears. These spring thaw will not last. The winter will return to Revachol.
Stuck in the rain in a traffic jam, man. What's on your mind? Huh? Oh. No, I ain't got any money. They don't want to pay for unfinished work. The bosses, man. Makes sense. It sucks is what it does.
Looking for something?
The tear machine stands in the corner. A sign says, 1 bottle equals 10 cents.
No. You need tear to use the tear machine.
You see several packaged raincoats fill a low shelf beneath a display of croissants and juice bottles. The raincoats are transparent, except for the big Fritta slogan on the back.
Here you go.
This will keep you nice and warm out there. Good choice, if a bit goofy looking.
Is this about the questions again? Because I don't really know anything. I don't really know anything. I mean, I know it's there, but I haven't seen it, so... Uh-huh.
To work! Shame on you!
This is the night watchman's booth. The name on the door reads, René Arnaud. Nothing incriminating catches your eye. The cabinets are clean and their sparse contents meticulously organized. There's a framed photograph on the table. It's a black and white photo of a young couple out in a street fair. The man, René, is dressed in a Royal Carabinier uniform. The girl is young and very pretty. She is smiling playfully at the camera.
Mr. Dubois, a pleasure as always. You don't have to sit down this time, since you've already sat on that chair. I'm very glad to hear that, Harry. One question. You didn't actually happen to stumble in and see what's inside the apartment, did you?
He's trying to figure out if you're lying.
You're right, Harry. You only had to unlock the door, which you did, so we're all good here.
He was testing you, and you succeeded.
Now let's get down to brass tacks. It's time for men like me and you to figure out who's killed who and why. Real police work is gonna start happening now. I promise you, Harry, this is gonna be good. By now, I'm sure you've figured out who the dead man was working for. The bad guys. Wild Pines. Sent to scare us. Another violent measure of the top hats against us flatcaps. Harry, this strike is the culmination of many, many mistakes made by the Wild Pines group. They tried to shut the strike down by sending in armed mercenaries. A security contractor? Can you imagine that? Workers standing in peaceful protest, united in the spirit of fellowship, and they send hired killers to mow us down with machine gun fire? I'm talking beasts, hardened killers from proxy wars in Yisut, Semenine, Saramaritsa, you name it, they've done it. Raping, killing, burning villages, killing little children for the Senorita Pineapple Company, Harry. Everything they did there, they brought over here. They want to turn Revachol into a third world slum. Honestly, the only thing they didn't do is kill the village elephant. Now, I haven't personally witnessed the brutalities out there. I have the luxury of staying in my container, you see. If I need to go somewhere, they just move my container. Yes, I'm an old man, Harry. My legs aren't what they used to be. They lift my office with that big crane. It's actually very fun. You should try it. But enough about me and my fun container. The killers the company hired, I think there were 3 of them, all hardened commando types. One of them got downright suicidal, getting drunk, violent, a little rapey. Even their own negotiator couldn't control him. That's your boy, the one who likes hanging out and trees. Harry, what you need to realize is, we dock workers are not pushovers. We got grit, Harry. This whole neighborhood does. Push us hard enough and we push back. And when we do, we push to kill.
An entire neighborhood of killers.
There's a militant wing inside the Union. A group of people whose duties don't involve manual labor, but peacekeeping in the neighborhood, making sure everything runs smoothly.
That sounds a bit like organized crime.
They're like you. Idealistic people who want to make sure that bad things don't happen. And if they already have, well, punishment must follow.
Again, that sounds like organized crime.
One day Titus Hardy, leader of this peacekeeping faction, comes up to me and says, "Boss, socialist democratic fervor drove us to take it upon ourselves to kill this beast that was burdening the land." He probably worded it differently, but that was the idea. Sure sounded to me like they killed him. I gave them 2 weeks paid leave and told them to lay low to avoid retaliation. Oh, I'm not at all worried about that. These are not the kind of men who get arrested. They're Martinez boys, tough and gritty. I'd like to see the man who takes them in. Besides, I sent my lawyer girl to look after them.
He places a lot of faith in that lawyer girl. Perhaps this is a tactical error? Anyway.
How do I know? Let me tell you about these people. That's their MO. It's what they do. Last winter, some poor workers in Terminal E went on a little strike. The company sent in Sediment, a security contractor. The strike was over the workers' right to wear protective footwear, Harry. These guys turn up and start beating people. Tell you what, Harry, I wouldn't be surprised if we got the same mercenary company, after a little rebranding. And I'm sure as hell not surprised to see an army of scabs under my gates. You said it, Harry. Hell, one of those guys looks big enough to take down that proverbial elephant. Boys like that don't just happen to show up during strikes.
That does sound quite unlikely, yes. The big guy leading the scabs at the gate is colossal.
Oh, Liz is a bright one. I paid for that law degree myself, thinking it'll probably turn her all fancy. But hell, Harry, she came back a firebrand socialist. Sometimes she scares me with her zeal. Oh, they are simply fine young men, all 7 of them. Exemplary union members, always working to advance their position in the local socialist democratic movement. Core members. Old Theo used to run them, but things really kicked into gear when Titus took the reins and named the group after himself. Gotta love his initiative. Harry, they're almost all of them great guys, born leaders. Whatever happened, I'm sure they only had the best interests of Revachol in mind. Work with them. Hell, interview them. But don't fight them. They really are just like you. Men who like beer, women, and some order on the streets.
Separate one from the herd.
Oh, that would definitely be Fat Angus. His feet smell from a city block away, and he's always having noisy stomach troubles. Horrible, revolting guy. You would die, Harry. You would die, and in the process start a bloody and completely unnecessary war between the Debardairs Union and the Citizens' Militia. Angus, his ever-growling stomach, and his smelly feet are all part of the Union. You have as much right to arrest him as he has to arrest you. Actually less, because it's his home and his backyard. You are a guest here, Harry. Please remember that. Oh, Harry. This is getting real grim, and there's no need for that. We are friends. But of course, it's the least I can do for my good friend Harry. I'll do it right after we've concluded this talk.
You can now go and tell Titus about this. See what he has to say.
Also, Harry, here's 5 real. I'm not giving you anything. I'm just holding out 5 real.
Needless to say, this is another move. Don't take it.
Oh, I wasn't offering it to you, just holding it out there. But I'm willing to share information. Was there anything else? Was it a good talk? I'm not sure we made much headway here. I was hoping we'd bust the case wide open. Heck, I even wanted to tell you what I really want to achieve with the strike. I don't know what happened, Harry. I wanted you to feel like Mr. Martinez. And, of course, I also wanted you to find your gun. But it's like I can't completely trust you. Yet. Yes, Harry, it's like I can't fully trust you if you're not a man of the left. I want to, but I just can't.
A man of the left, so you have to be a social democrat. He's been hurt too much in the past by men who aren't social democrats.
What does your heart tell you about your lost gun, Harry? Does it tell you to forget about it? Or do you think it wants to be found? I think it's lonely and cold. I think it wants to be found, and I have a proposal for you. Once again, I require nothing unethical or illegal of you. You just need to get 2 little signatures on this piece of paper, and then mail it to my accountant in La Delta. I'm glad you asked, Harry. The Union is going to build a modern youth centre in Martinez. It will be righteous. We're gonna get those teenagers off drugs and on roller skates.
Roller skating, not drugs, Harry. You like this.
There's a nameless little street on the coast with some old houses around it. Most people have already signed. I just need 2 more signatures to get this mission off the ground, Harry. On the coast, Harry, across the canal. There's a cul-de-sac there, a little village they're calling it. A gloomy place. You'll find it. I trust your detective skills, Harry.
Water drips from the eaves. A woman looks at her freshly tarred skiff. There's a pair of cavalry boots under the fish in the box, and the wind howls like a vicious spirit.
They are just going to have to deal with the construction noise for 6 months, and then they'll be living like kings. Right next to a fancy new youth centre, designed by the best architects from Stella Marie.
Is he absolutely sure the tenants won't be thrown out in the street?
The people win, Harry. The people win. You bring joy to my heart, Harry. Such a pleasure to be working with you. Here. You need to get signatures from Isabel Sadie and Lillian Carter. The cul-de-sac is right past the pawn shop and across the canal. I hear there is some trouble with the waterlock, but they should fix it by Wednesday morning. Once you have the signatures, mail this to 13022 La Rocca in La Delta. Then we can talk about your gun. Let's hear it, Harry. Ah, this? My friends in your organization gave it to me, Harry.
This translates into, haha, you guys are so corrupt. As you look at the folder, Everard covers it with his hand and pets it. He's hiding it from you because it's not a real RCM folder. It's just another one of those brown folders you saw in the file cabinet.
Okay, Harry, you got me. This is from the Census Bureau, not the RCM. Those Census Bureau people are absolutely corrupt. You should do something about them.
He got the name from the Census Bureau and everything else from your behavior here in Martinez.
But I really got you good there for a moment, didn't I, Harry? Now, what can I do for you?
That means he doesn't really know anything about you. A pity. The mystery of you will have to remain a mystery for the time being.
Yes, that's what I said. Try to keep up, okay? Let's move on. Yes, my best men are tracking it down. Some kids saw some other kids run. What's that, Harry? You're getting a little pale. Is it the words paranoid schizophrenic and lost gun in one sentence? Don't worry, it's just a lead. It'll probably turn out to be nothing. Oh, that's very nice. I haven't gotten around to her yet. I'm very, very busy, you see. I hope you're getting along. One thing I want to make very clear, Harry, is that this is not some kind of union versus corporation situation. Everyone is just pals here. We're all trying to do what's best for Martinez. Don't feel like you can't cooperate with her because you and I are such good friends and I helped you get the body down. And I'm helping you find your gun. I'm not a jealous guy. It's perfectly okay. Even if you've told her everything we've talked about, it's absolutely fine. What do you mean, Harry? Nothing. I let him go. He's an old man, Harry. I wanted him to spend more time with his family. God knows how long he's got left. Harry! I have little people in my organization. I would never call someone a midget. What is this? Honestly, I'm beginning to think you're a midget, Harry. I'm only kidding, Harry. You're not a midget. No one is. We're pals.
It's hard to say if he really lost his temper, or if this is another one of his tricks. This man almost never angers visibly.
Vanished? Harry, the woman left her casserole in the oven and couldn't make it here in time for the voting. Oh, did I leave my casserole on? Better go home and check. The election can wait. When she got back, the whole thing was over.
Wait, there was no mention of a casserole from Joyce.
Harry, Harry, Harry. Do not fixate on this little matter. Maybe it was a rabbit stew, or a hairdryer, or an iron. The point is, her heart wasn't in it. Mine was. If she actually wants to see me, she will find a way. Any good negotiator would. And I just don't have anything to discuss with a bad negotiator.
He doesn't want to see her. It's as simple as that.
Of course, Harry. Let me just assure you one more time. It's perfectly okay to share anything we discuss here with this Joyce. This is a completely transparent organization. I have no interest in what she is doing, but I myself have nothing to hide. Your business is your business, and I respect your privacy. Just remember, none of this is secret. Tell her about all of it. My brother's picture, my singing swordfish clock. Tell her how overweight I am and how I'm helping you find your lost gun. Tell her about everything. Everett doesn't mind.
It is rather interesting to tell people things about each other, isn't it? It was nice telling him about her right now. This is weird. Not nice weird, but okay.
Most certainly, Harry. Nothing brightens my day like brainstorming these things with you. By all means, Harry. What's on your mind?
An intricate web of blue lines stretches across the torso of the hanged man, from the right shoulder to the solar plexus. Each time the lines intersect, a small white star is formed in their crossing. Hundreds of fading asterisks riddle his skin. Their concentration is highest around his heart. It still kind of looks like a map of the stars in the night sky, but something's not right. Gone. For you to discover. You've gotten as far as you will without assistance. Someone who knows about history could tell you.
Hey, mister. I'm not gonna bother you with a long greeting, just like we talked about before. I know you're probably a busy man being an important police officer and all, and personally, I think the more people keeping the peace, the better.
before the cargo container. Its draw has not lessened since you were last here. The container door appears unmoved by your attempt at flattery. The door does not respond to your advances. Is it possible that it seems somehow more closed than before?
Promising race pupil returns. Don't be vulgar. White or not has got little to do with this. The race enigma runs much deeper than that.
There must be some friction there. He's keeping it well hidden.
Mr. Clare is a man of vision and means. He has the will to confront international capital, which is something your race naivistic communists never did. Also, to serve is noble. It takes discipline. Your petulant individualism has only contributed to your race failure. It is lax and moronic. Of course you are, Revacholian man. The failure of communism to challenge the world order is the core of your race fate. All around you, the fruits of its defeat. Individualism, rock and roll music, sexually transmitted disease. Above all, rampant multinational finance still reigning large. Tell me, where have you gotten your love of pathetic communism from? Stop explaining yourself. No one cares about your beliefs. The conversation has moved on. Tell me, what degenerate subculture has made you dress in this shameful way? Of course it does. You are a degenerate individualist and a rock and roll rebel. A pawn of international finance, just like the rest of your ham-colored race. I am not surprised you enjoy it so much. This has happened to many of the side products of the inevitable cultural victory of the Seminese race.
Measurehead stoically looks to the distance, in silence.
Hola, Wandering Man. How can I help you?
gold monument stands in the middle of the traffic island, pointing toward the sea. It looks
Stuck in the rain in a traffic jam, man. What's on your mind?
Looks like the circus left town, but the clowns are still here. Oh, so you went and talked to my mommy, and now she's making me play with you. Is that it, mommy?
And what's gonna happen if we don't? You gonna go and tell on us?
Yeah, I heard him. Now fuck do you think I'm doing here? You'd have your ass handed to you if it wasn't for the boss man's word. Let me state this very clearly, Capo. Hello, officer. I'm Titus Hardy, and these are my boys. Hardy boys. How may we assist you?
explosive laughter follows. To his men, Titus Hardy is a golden god. They want to laugh at his jokes even before they leave his lips. This guy is a born leader. But having Everard back you up like that did seem to have some effect.
Again, just get the dead guy's autograph, since you're his biggest fan.
Good one, Titus.
About fucking time.
Hello again, esteemed officer, and welcome to Crime, Romance, and Bio...
Her hands move over the book covers. The tips of her fingers look rough, stained with yellow. It seems like she has spent a lot of time at work, smoking. An array of neurons fire up with joy. Bum her a cigarette, lest it turn to pain. The woman before you nods and returns to her reading.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? Not an umbrella, I hope. I don't need one myself, you see.
All around you, rain keeps falling down. On the wooden boards she's standing on, and on the water around.
Very rugged. Good choice. Now, I suspect you had questions. Nothing like talking to pass a rainy day. Am I right? That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question. Better not tie the fourth day to the bat's day on this. I hope there is something else I can help you with. Oh? Oh. That's so helpful of him. So very, very helpful. And how is that going? Do you have any leads on that gun? Did he now? Well, then it should be any day now. Unless, of course, he's lying to you. Anyway, was there anything else you've heard?
Perhaps he is.
Of course, Detective. You can always drop by later, should something come up. Now, what else can I do for you? I'm afraid I can't say any more until we've taken care of formal protocol. Of course. But before we do, officer, let me be perfectly clear. The situation is extremely volatile. The sooner we can speak about this lynching business, the better for all of us.
Give me a moment.
Hello again, officers. Have you come to admire my mural?
That smell coming from her paint bucket. It's not paint. It's heavy fuel oil.
What do I care about some fucking tin eggshells? Ugh, alright, sad piggy. I'll give you this one. I saw a little girl in the fishing village running around with military-grade handwear. Looked cute as hell. If you haven't been there, the village is a shithole down the coast from the main plaza. Have a good time! No. That's all the snitching Cindy the Skull does for today. Actually, I don't even know why I told you what I just told you. I have a weakness for animals. It's the animal thing again. Damn it.
You sit on the wind-worn wooden planks of the bench. Your feet ache. You finally stop picking your nose. It's the ledger you found in the trash. A cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables drawer inside. It's barely held together by a clip, then made complete by the faint smell. Without resistance or sound, the two panels move against each other. The compartment is now open. Inside, you see 2 ticket stubs and a handmade postcard. It's slightly, ever so slightly, difficult to breathe once you've done so. The drawer is locked. Blue ink drips from the white pages in your hand. Your hand shakes. You're flushed with adrenaline. You take the legal documents out of the envelope, a 12 to 40 month construction period, and the zoning plan in the addendum. The youth center cuts into the ocean like the bow of some great modern ship. Apparently, it's going to cover most, if not all, of the street and the square between the existing houses. It's 3 stories tall. It's going to be awfully close to the already existing buildings, almost wall to wall, practically integrating them into the youth center. There is no loophole. The simple truth is, the current residents are going to lose their street access, and for the next 12 to 40 months, their lives will be dominated by constant construction noise right next door. Once the construction starts, it'll probably take a few months, a year maybe, for even the most stubborn occupants to get tired of living like this. After that, they'll sell their property for cheap and move out. Well, you could trick Everard. Get some random people to sign the document. By the time the union boss finds out, your business here will be already concluded. The worn map features the patchwork grid of the streets of Martinaise. Your finger moves through the various streets, across Rue de Saint-Ghislain and Rue Saint-Sipar, over Saint-Brun and Martinaise North, finally coming to a halt on the spot where you are currently standing, although the map gives no such indication itself.
For a more detailed view of the map, go to your journal and select the Map tab.
The note is written with a blue pencil on a piece of lined office paper. The kitchen magnets have left spots on its surface. Someone has scribbled, S. I can't believe the off-site copy is still here. The illiterate ginger kid keeps stealing stuff from the studio, so I had to hide it somewhere safe. You'll find the filament memory with the off-site copy in the frozen ice cream maker. Please take it home, ASAP. It's important. I'd do it myself if I lived in a civilized place with a freezer. Take care, Suliswaf. According to the note, someone named Sulislav. The note does not specify. Are you serious? You sure you don't want to hazard a guess here, Detective? Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. It's just a racist mug. What's there to read here? Not much. The face of King Fleecell smiles at you. For some reason, the smile now strikes you as more forced than it did before. Unsurprisingly, much of this section is taken up with articles declaring unqualified support for the dock workers' strike. You skim the headlines. Paint the harbor red and white. Martin, finally, there's a brief article by the writer, G. Martin, accusing the owner of the Capeside Apartments of illegally attempting to evict certain communist tenants simply for not having paid their rent. According to these editorials, there can be no accommodation with the forces of international capital or their mucilaginous allies in the coalition. Judging from the context, it's something very large and fundamental. You should probably know about it already, honestly. You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. This section includes a long You also skip over an article about heavy fuel oil smuggling along the mess. Face it, you really aren't interested in foreign affairs. You flip back to the front of the magazine. It takes a moment, but gradually it dawns on you that Kunst und Kultur must mean arts and culture. Why they decided to title this one section in Volda is beyond you. As you leaf through this section, you come across several reviews of recent radio plays, as well as a brief artist spotlight featuring. The main feature, though, is a long essay titled Tip Top Tournée, a critical Mazovian perspective. This so-called artist spotlight is really just a brief Q&A. That certainly sounds like a certain delinquent youth who likes to harass you from her balcony. The actual article is surprisingly light on details, but after skimming a page or two, you gather that it has something to do with motor carriage racing. If you don't follow it, you only ever hear about the ludicrous sponsorships and obscene death toll. You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
The purity of snow always reminds me of the purity of a man's soul, if he's got principles. Sadly, no. It was the foreigners who brought them to their knees. We fought valiantly, too valiantly. So valiantly we got licked. Should have fought dirty, like they did with their suicide sex cult propaganda. And mad anarchist women strapped to shrapnel bombs. We didn't so, and we lacked caliber. God bless him, but the suzerain's cannons simply weren't big enough.
It was probably a bit more complicated than that.
This place is a damn beachhead, son. They had to soften the commies up first. Yes, the military coordinated amphibious landing to take back Revachol. Martinez was used as one of the 3 footholds in Revachol during Operation Deathblow in 08. The other 2 are off in Stella Maris and the Delta. This here is Blood Ground, where Coalition boots first made landfall and cleaned those rabid dogs out. Most likely, we're playing pétanque on their mangled corpses.
Blood ground. You got old René going there. Like he isn't hungry enough already.
Don't get me wrong, officer. I hate those foreign dogs, but the enemy of my enemy and all that. They're the lesser evil. Damn right, son. They laid the fire of hell on this city before they stormed it. And it worked, too.
He approves of this radical approach, knows it was necessary.
The rest of the city got cleaned up, but Martinez they keep as a monument. And now the Union Socialists are practically running the place.
Well, it's your own damn fault. You, we, the Coalition, Revachol, whoever you want to blame, never finished the job. Officially, the party never surrendered. Of course they still hold influence.
You don't even begin to truly understand the players at the table, let alone the specific circumstances surrounding the...
Thinking men have opinions on these things. Present one.
I'm sorry it had to be them. After 8 years of fighting those hyenas, boiling cats for food and drinking piss in the mountains, I would have preferred if the Right Honorable King Guillaume returned through Revachol, or even if that damn clan Frisel had risen from the grave and led us. Sadly, that was not the case. Instead, all that is just, holy, and beautiful in the world was wiped away, and now it's neon signs with toothpaste ads everywhere. Foreign influence peddling garbage and stupid music on the radio. This is just what the commies wanted. This was their plan all along. This is what they wanted to replace the role of the suzerain with. A true king in both blood and mind. Let Revachol before Frissel. He would have been better, but the damn commies drove him into exile.
Some manner of self-deceit is present in his thinking. Sounds like this Guillaume abandoned him, and he doesn't want to admit it.
The suzerain is the king! Has everyone forgotten already? They've forgotten already. It's no use talking to you. You were still in Daddy's balls when it happened. When we took our last stand against the filth and rode the cavalry straight into gunfire. Yes, the Debardeurs Union pays me to stand vigil during the nights. Not out of any political allegiance, mind you. I'm an old man. Don't sleep more than a few hours every night anyway, and money is tight. Yes, it does. Unfortunately, I wasn't working that night. Been on a 2-week leave since last Monday. It's a private matter. Nothing to do with your investigation.
You see, officer, René is the kind of man would rather die than admit he needs medical assistance or, God forbid, seek it. A real man's man is just gonna ride it out.
I'm fine, goddammit! Mind your own business! It's nothing. Just got to cut back on coffee.
It's his heart.
No one. The boss has been unmanned since last Monday. There's no other guard. It's just me. Yes! It's not actually an issue. I mean...
Look, officer. The container yard doesn't actually need a guardsman. Never had one before René. Monsieur Claire had that booth built specially for him. It's mostly decorative.
The possibility of someone being in there is enough to discourage any ill-minded individuals.
Evrard created this job for René because he knows the Royal Carabinier's pension of honor and PTSD isn't something a man can live off. A decorated Kingsman collecting tear reflects bad on the whole neighborhood. His words.
Yes. Can we conclude the topic of my guard boost now? She is nobody. This is none of your concern, and I refuse to discuss my private affairs with the RCM.
The lady is Jeanne-Marie Beaulieu, and she sure as hell wasn't a nobody.
Yes. Like I said, I would be up anyway, so might as well keep an eye out. It keeps my senses sharp. Ah, yes! King Philip III, on his steed. A reminder of what Revachol once was.
Oh, absolutely.
Cocaine.
A superpower! Feared and respected. A test right.
Officer, the mere sight of police in Martinez makes me feel safer already. How can I help you?
Oh, sweet Jenny. She was the finest woman in all of Revachol. Maybe the entire world.
Do not defile her memory, Gaston. Let her rest in peace.
His tone lacks its usual intensity, like he doesn't feel he has the right to speak on the matter.
We knew her, all right. Lived on the same street our entire lives, just 2 houses apart. The 3 of us have been best friends since we were 4. She was René's first girl, back when the prick was 16. They were courting till he decided he'd rather die for some great ideal than just be happy.
And then you stole her from me.
Oh, officer. It already got ugly nearly 80 years ago when the 3 of us were just learning to walk and talk.
You stole her from me.
Well, technically, you stole her from me, because we'd been pretty close ever since you two had that falling out over the ink you spilled over her pretty yellow dress.
We were just boys then. This was different. You... No point starting this all over again. For the 1000th and the first time. Especially when we have company. Officer.
She died of pneumonia 2 winters ago. It was a quiet passage, peaceful. René and I were both by her bedside when she...
died. No use sugarcoating it. Won't bring her back, will it now?
Departed. Until the very end she couldn't decide between us. The most indecisive woman I've ever met.
A quick grimace of pain passes over René's features, but he immediately regains control. His face now a dispassionate mask again.
She could never make up her mind about anything. What to have for breakfast, favorite color, or which one of us to marry. She was always leaving one of us for the other, but never long enough to actually get married. Heck, technically, we're both still engaged to her.
You always confused her. Couldn't let us be happy. Seduced her with your fancy words and pastries.
He suddenly remembers you are still there, falls silent, and turns away.
Of course, officer. Memories are all we have left. Let me think. I heard someone was hanged and left on a tree for a week, but that's all I know, really. No, I'm sorry, and I really would like to assist. You are a good guy, officer. I can see that.
Then help him, you wimp. You have plenty of shoulder with the ghost caviar in the Union. Someone must know something.
He means caviar socialists.
I wish I could, but I just don't know anything. I always keep my nose clean and don't gossip. Everyone knows and respects that.
Odd. He doesn't seem to be lying, but there's something off here.
I'm not even anyone.
Of course he's holding back. His mouth is so full of Union prick he can't even speak properly.
Can I at least finish my fucking sentence before you piss on it? Is that okay, René? I'm not anyone important in the Union. I just know Evrard. Everyone in Martinez knows the Clare brothers. I taught these boys human studies and history in the gymnasium.
Gymnasium. I love that word.
What do you know about history? You never witnessed history. Only heard about it years later, when it had already moved on. You don't know history.
The old soldier mumbles something under his breath and turns to face the sea. There he stands, proud, rigid and alone, like a cracking marble statue.
What a prick. The officer was addressing me, not you, Captain. Where were we?
Where were we? What a joyous way of putting it.
Oh, in many ways, yes. Like an honorary member. I attend meetings and parties, help with little things. Evrard, Edgar, and the older debarders all know me. Oh, yes. Not in the technical sense. I don't have a vote or a membership card, but Evrard keeps me on the payroll, just for the little things.
So that's what it was before. Him hiding something. He tries to make it look like he's a big deal in the Union, and now the illusion is disintegrating before your and Rene's eyes. He doesn't know anything, because no one tells him anything. He's an outsider.
Of course he's not a member. He's not a member of anything. I knew that. He's a Weservein. Turns to where the wind blows and tries to look important. I hate the socialist rabble, but even siding with them is better than living your entire life on the fence, never committing to anything. Pick a damn side already.
Writing work mostly. Occasionally, he needs something written, and I happen to have a way with words, people say. Oh, nothing official, I assure you. Just essays for the newspapers. About Martinez and how things are and how they could be. Evrard and I have these long talks where...
Well, he tells his little pen man exactly what to say. It's commie propaganda, plain and simple. You should be ashamed of yourself.
On the Union track? I don't even consider myself a regular socialist. Politics is not really something I involve myself in, officer. Officer, I have a vivid imagination. And like I said, I have a way with words. That's enough. No need to sink into politics.
He just fluffs it up.
Of course. Don't sink into anything. Don't sink into any fight. Only sink into your couch.
I prefer highly adaptable myself. Have a better ring to hit, don't you think?
Mon Dieu.
Thank you, officer, for being a consummate professional. You'll have this case wrapped up in no time. Sure, officer. They are the good guys around here. What do you need? I don't even consider myself a regular socialist. I believe everyone has the right to think and do whatever they want, even if it's nothing at all. I'm very adaptable.
Oh, mon Dieu.
I don't even consider myself a regular socialist. Just easier that way. Besides, life isn't as black and white as René's of the world tried to make it seem. It's all shades of grey, really.
Oh, mon Dieu.
Thank you, officer, for being a consummate professional. You'll have this case wrapped up in no time. Sweet, sweet Jenny. Ask away, officer. Of course, officer. Memories are all we have left.
An old call box with a matrix of push buttons lists all the companies in the East Delta Commerce Center. East Delta Commerce Center? This must be the name of the doomed commercial area. Nothing happens after you ring the doorbell. They don't want to talk to you. This button looks new. but someone has removed the name card. Nothing happens when you try to ring it. You ring the doorbell, but nothing happens. An old monument stands in the middle of the traffic island, pointing towards it. The more you ask yourself, the less you know. One thing is for certain though, your brain damage. It's serious and permanent. The woman still has her eyes. No response. Wherever this woman is, your words fail.
I've got nothing to say to you. Why are you wasting your time? What are we going to do to you?
Why did you say that? Did you forget you're a cop? Again?
The union isn't going to do anything to you. It is not a crime syndicate. It is a labor organization.
Uh-huh. Goddamn right it is.
If anything, it is the RCM who do things to people. But we digress.
Can I help you? Got the 20 real? Good. You got the room for the night, but remember, you'll need another 20 real tomorrow.
How could anyone forget, asshole?
Another thing. Great. I love those. Yes?
Oh, hello, dear. There you are again.
There's really no point in manipulating anyone. She'd be only too pleased to tell you about her work. Go on and ask.
Oh, I'd be delighted. Truth be told, I could really use the company too. That would be the Giant of Coconur. The Giant lives in the most arid parts of the vast Coconur Desert in South Samara, casting a strange light across the barren wastes. A mirage or a psychogenous luminance.
No one knows for sure. It is like an awful mountain appearing from below the horizon and expanding to cover almost a third of your field of vision. The towering luminosity of Kokonur is a bad omen in local folklore. Some say it's a fata morgana, others, fate unimaginable. That's what makes it so peculiar. A species surviving at the very limits of scientific law. The giant of Kokonur must be the largest animal the planet can support. There are limits, you see, to how large a metabolism an ecosystem can beget. Some say a gravity anomaly below the Kokonur desert might allow the creature to grow to these gargantuan sizes.
Gravity anomaly? Digging it. Digging this parascientific stuff right here.
Cryobacter catlensis. Yes, a unicellular bacterium that was discovered in one of the northernmost points of Kotla on the Boreal Plateau by renowned geologist Caitlin Mijanou some 70 years ago. The bacterial colony Mijanou found had remained alive while frozen in ice for longer than anyone could reliably estimate. Certainly from before recorded history. Mijanou disappeared shortly after injecting herself with the bacteria she had brought back to study. No doubt in hopes of prolonging her own life. Yes, the bacteria had survived in the ice since times immemorial. It is not hard to see where she could have gotten the idea. Yes, and she's quite mad, too. After she treated herself with the bacteria, she stopped aging, but also became increasingly eccentric and irascible, so that even her oldest friends were forced to pull away. We can assume that she has been living somewhere in the wilderness for decades now, all alone except for the Cryobacter catlensis coursing through her bloodstream. The gnome of Jeroma. Oh, yes. None of its victims survived. Grieving relatives never even found their bodies because the gnome's venom dissolved organic tissue. It was, reportedly, a small creature with webbed fingers and a protruding forehead and a gangly little thing. Quite scary to look at. A couple of campers found it when it was already dying. They heard an odd wailing in the woods and followed the sound. They were scared and wrapped it in tarpaulin to suffocate it. It still took the gnome of Jeroma an entire day to die. Alas, no. And the first scientist who got his hands on the creature's corpse put it in a jar of formaldehyde, thinking that would detoxify the gnome's venom. Instead, all the venom leaked out of the creature's teeth and into the surrounding liquid, dissolving the creature itself. A poetic end, perhaps, but a real loss for science.
Alas, always alas, and then it was gone. Isn't that overly convenient? Sure, a perfectly good explanation. It dissolved in its own venom. Go on, then.
What an interesting question. And the answer is yes, there are. The call de mama d'aqua, or thin whisper of sound. And that's precisely what it seems to be. Self-replicating sound waves, invisible and intangible. It's very afraid of us, which makes it incredibly difficult to track.
Call de mama d'aqua can also be translated as a whisper, light and low.
Yes, that's another translation. They're both quite lovely, aren't they? Although the low part is a little ironic. The Col de Mama d'Aqua makes, or rather is, such a high-pitched sound that other animals, including humans, can't hear it. It could be everywhere all of the time, and we wouldn't know. Many scientists have asked the same question. Some have claimed that it isn't itself a sound, but a tiny corpuscle that emits sound waves. But there's no evidence to support this theory. It could be. As I said, it could be everywhere. And we wouldn't know any better. It could be ringing all the days of our lives and nights.
Maybe it's predatory.
It's not. Don't worry. If it were predatory, we would have found it by the damage it inflicts.
I wouldn't be so sure. What if the damage is also invisible?
Plenty. It's the evidence that led to its discovery. In the 20s, a group of Areopagi ornithologists, that is, scientists who study birds, were trying out a new recording technology for capturing sounds outside the range of human hearing. When playing back recordings they had made in the foothills of the Ea mountain range, they noticed certain anomalies, patterns that seemed random at first, but on closer examination were consistent with the waveforms of songbirds. The scientists soon discovered they could track and even predict what appeared to be feeding, mating, and migration patterns based on sound waves in a strictly delimited range of ultrasonic frequencies, even higher than those of the highest-pitched bat calls. They realized that they had discovered a new species and called it the Col de Mama d'Aqua, after the Paracanassian name for the voice of God, which is said to be very silent. They grew quite obsessed with these little birds. Even though they couldn't see them, they could distinguish among individual birds and even began to name some of them. Sequester, Time, Joscan, those are but some of the Mama d'Aqua they followed individually. That is a sad story. A group of university students assisting with the field work in their enthusiasm for the project, and no doubt because they were preoccupied with impressing their professors, nearly drove it to extinction. They tried to communicate with it and had no other means but sound. So they started sending out sound waves at frequencies they thought might match the Mama d'Aquas. And what happens when a sound wave meets another sound wave of the same frequency, dear?
Psst. They cancel each other out. Psst.
Exactly. And these tests were performed so recklessly that when they happened upon the right frequency, well, they wiped out most of the population. After that, the corpuscle appears to have migrated elsewhere. There have been recordings of anomalies similar to those spotted in Ea, but they've been few and far between. It's impossible to confirm the presence of any stable Col de Mama d'Aqua population anywhere. What about what? Of course, dear. Of course, dear. Is there a particular cryptid that you're interested in learning about? Of course, dear.
The man ponders his cooking utensils and gives you a little nod, acknowledging your presence. He looks up at you, then looks away quickly, shrugging and muttering something to himself. The door is closed. Still nothing. You should punch a fucking hole in it. The murmur in your ears recedes slowly. You're breathing normal. This door can only be opened with a key or from the inside. As you hold the metal, you sense the warmth left there. This fan has two chain pull switches. One ends in a tiny fan. A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face, adorned with the expression. The window stands broken in its frame. Cold wind blows in. The shards face outward. Whatever broke this window came from the inside. A fine web of scarring covers the back of your right hand, but none of it is recent. More likely a projectile than a held object. There are no fragments on the floor from pulling a tool back in after impact. It is too large for a bullet, yet too small for a piece of furniture. You're looking for something heavy and larger than your fist. The shoe you found on the balcony fits the hold almost as well as your foot. It would have also been heavy enough if thrown with force. Congratulations, you smashed the window with your own shoe. You mean someone else took your shoe off and smashed the window with it? This person also forced the drinks on you. And maybe, just maybe, you succeeded. We'll never know. The window stands broken in its frame. The morning light hurts your eyes. It's hazy, but you see the ocean and some war-torn buildings. The speakers below are banged up and worthless. The sneakers triumph over them. The speakers below are banged up and worthless. The sneakers triumph over them.
Everything's still cool here, officer.
No need to dress this one up. Just tell him what you want.
Oh, okay. But why, officer? Ah, yes. Money is very important. You see, I'm an honest entrepreneur. I can't help you if you don't give me a good reason as to why I should. Sorry, detective.
A crumpled billboard reading, Samaran butter, soaks in the canal. Two ugly lines mar the bright countenance of the blonde boy depicted. Judging by the size of the impact and the parallel lines of burnt rubber, the cause was probably a motor vehicle. Side slip marks indicated that the vehicle was traveling up the crater at 35 kilometers an hour. The black marks on the roof indicate that the vehicle vaulted from the crater to the roof of the shack. The panel served as a takeoff ramp. The vehicle soared through the air, hitting the billboard and upsetting the posts. Then it continued its flight, taking the billboard with it. The sign broke the vehicle's fall into the canal. The Samaran butter billboard still looks freshly painted, suggesting it took the plunge recently, within the past 72 hours. Still speeding, the vehicle made a loop and vanished into the fog along the coast. There are two good candidates, the Caprice 40 and the Linéaire G22. It's about the right size, and the tire marks look like they came from the skinny tires frequently found on that motor carriage. The Caprice 40 is a very popular model, with bank clerks, topping pie delivery drivers, secondary school teachers, cops, strippers dressed as cops, undressed strippers. Very sturdy but light motor carriage, more likely than most to survive that jump. The Linéaire G22 is not a particularly popular model due to its peculiar proportions, which the manufacturer's design team probably thought about for too long. You'd have to follow the tracks to be sure.
Hello again, officers. Have you come to admire my mural?
Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here.
Hello again. How can I help you? Traffic? I'm sorry, officer, but I don't drive. I just don't like it very much. Movement on the road never really gelled well with the movement of my thoughts. Now that I think about it, I do remember hearing a thunderous noise the other night. Some kind of powerful electric vortex hitting the shop and then moving on. Yeah, it was pretty wild. I didn't really know what to make of it, but I know it meant something. Traffic? I'm sorry, officer, but I don't drive. Now that I think about it, I do remember hearing a thunderous noise the other night.
He shakes his head, slowly.
I doubt it, but I can try and answer any questions you may have. I do my best to keep my distance from all manner of butchery. Bad for business, bad for everyone.
He doesn't know anything. No one likes to see what you have to see every day. The pawnbroker's gaze is already fixed on the dancing colors.
Sure thing. Maybe. Shady-looking guys came in here yesterday, looking like they'd just taken off their Wild Pines overalls. They asked if I have a police weapon to sell. I told them I already sold it. They went their way. It was a trip, but you know, all sorts of people come here, asking for all sorts of things.
People as oleaginous as Everard seem like they're lying, even when they're really being truthful.
Sure, man.
You see rows of toy soldiers guarding the rest of the trinkets displayed on the table. Some on horseback, others in... The boomboxes wait on the shelves, and your boombox, that gold and amber Harmon Waushi, stares at you longingly with its tape reel eyes.
Looking for something? It's about biological determinism, natural law, the sorting of the races. Not the most popular topic, Nod.
Change the topic. The way he says it makes it almost sound like a threat.
People who've studied these things say that we are superior by design. So, naturally, we Occidentals should be in charge. Obviously, you can see the merits in that.
If this guy's all the Occidentals have, well, let's just say he's not exactly ripped.
So, lately we Occidentals have experienced an unfortunate downturn when members of the superior race cease to believe in their innate superiority. They stop competing for resources. The problem? The damn kids are showing a real good game lately. Same with the mosquitoes and all the other introduced species out there, breeding like rabbits. They're on the precipice of cultural victory.
Cultural victory? What is this then?
It's what the kids of Boogie Street are going for, right under our noses. And the others too, on the radio. Heard any chansons lately? Heard any mojitos or leader? No. Dominating culture is how they plan to win. They say so themselves. It's true. Also, you need to realize the dangers of mixing races. Who knows what might happen if people don't stay in their birthplace? You might end up with a new sub-race, with unknown characteristics, leading to extra competition. That's why you've got to control the offspring. Go right ahead. You may be a cop, but that won't help you avoid the calamity to come.
Nope, nothing. You're sure it's okay? You wriggled your way out of a tight one there. Didn't tell him to fuck off, or join his cause. Well done.
Oh, not much anymore. I'm here to pick up some cargo, but the dock workers are on strike, so apples.
Apples is exactly the kind of thing you'd say if you had something to hide.
Look, as detective, I come from a long line of lorrymen. We got ancient rights and privileges. Oh, I'm here to pick up a load of fucking apples, man. Just regular, Koiko-picked apples.
Damn, you're not gonna get more out of him on this. He's put up the wall of racism.
Oh yeah, they're a big deal. My great-grandfather was a carter. Had a royal license and everything. We've tried to hold on to our privileges. Someone with a cart. What did you think it was? That's how deep into history our thing reaches. Before machines. Sure fucking is. We have a guild and everything, huh? Very ancient. Very prestigious. Goddamn right. They've been trying to fuck us out of our heritage in the name of profit. But when they try to replace us, they'll regret it. Trusting street thugs with their goods is going to fuck them right up the ass. Mark my words, generations of practice ain't no laughing matter. Yeah, they're a big deal. My great-grandfather was a carter, had a royal license and everything. Sure fucking is. We have a guild and everything, huh? Very ancient, very prestigious. Hell no, it's a guild. Invitation only. Unions work for the rich fucks. They're basically the same. Been trying to fuck us out of our heritage in the name of profit, but you can't replace experience. Trusting street thugs with their goods is going to fuck them right up the ass. Mark my words, generations of practice ain't no laughing matter.
Right to work! Right to work! Shame on you!
When a bunch of ungrateful, lazy cockroaches can't get their act together, decide to block honest work for other people.
Beats me. They mumble nonsense about boardrooms and workers' rights, while we have the right to work!
When the man moves around, you perceive some serious abs underneath his tight-fitting shirt. This man is in shape.
I work hard, and I would work even harder if the fuckers would let us work!
You've been talking to him for quite a while now. Something is off with this guy. Ask him where he's from.
What's it to you? No, don't think we've met before. I came to help out the people.
Every once in a while, it's like you can see glimpses of another guy under the guise of this fighter for jobs. He seems a more brutal, cunning, and suspicious person. Just the man has turned his attention elsewhere. He shakes his fist slowly while observing you from the corner of his eye.
What's it to you? Big mess caused by union greed. But I only fight for the rights of people.
Every once in a while, it's like you can see glimpses of another guy under the guise of this fighter for jobs. He seems a more brutal, cunning, and suspicious person. Just a hunch. Or you just might be paranoid.
We're all workers, right? Workers stick together. Came from the eminent domain, in Jamrock. Backgrounds in odd jobs, heavy lifting, cargo hauling, bouncer work. I know the drill.
A monstrous shadow high above the fire traps of the domain. The 881 motorway running over this district of Jamrock. Concrete pillars rise up from the midst of the dilapidated wooden houses. On the horizon, barely visible, the hazy machinery of the harbor. Life in the domain is even worse off than in Martinez. The cold air is stiff from the fumes of the motor carriages and lorries roaring overhead. Below, broken down, battered people mill on the dusty streets with no purpose. Yet amongst them, there is no sight of this man. Nowhere.
Yeah? What makes you say that?
They know me. That's bullshit.
What's it to you? Big mess caused by you.
Every once in a while, it's like you can see glimpses of another guy.
We're all workers, right?
A monstrous shadow high above the fire traps of the domain. The 881 motorway. Life in the domain. Below, broken down, battered people mill on the dusty streets with no purpose. Yet
worked at Territorial. Ring a bell?
Uh-huh.
was a long time ago. What's it to you? Big mess.
Everyone.
We're all workers, right? Workers stick together.
A monstrous shadow, high above the fire traps of the life in the below. Broken down, battered people mill on the dusty streets with no purpose. Yet amongst them, there is no sight of this man.
Worked at Territorial. Ring a bell? We're done here. I have a strike to break.
Hola, Wandering Man. How can I help you? We're negotiating our share. Aye. This stuff, they already covered. Never grateful. Were we ever grateful, we'd have nothing. You fight for every piece. All of it. However, right now we want all the harbor workers to be on the company's board, so they could take part in the decision-making process.
This seditious talk sounds like communism. Just so we're on the same page, communism is basically wanting to kill the rich people, or deporting them to a labor camp in southeast Grad. But don't say that out loud if you're a communist.
I think it's best you make up your own mind now that you've met him. In my eyes, he is a capable organizer and a decent businessman. I guess you kind of get to be the village chief. He oversees the harbor, makes deals with the owners or other relevant parties, watches out for his own. By heavens, why would he not be corrupt? We live in a harsh and disordered world, see? And in this world, the old man is corrupt for our benefit, and we know it. Appreciate it even. He is, personally, not too lavish. He is reasonably lavish, sure. That's his prerogative. It's not like you want a saintly demeanor on a corrupt motherfucker. That would be a manipulative illusion. Besides, there are no non-corrupt systems in the world anyway, and moralism is the most corrupt of them all.
Not you would like to say. But then there's that weasel door. This man has political theory, and it has not failed him today.
Sure thing.
This was great. You feel mentally reinvigorated.
The mercenary, eh? Who could have killed him? That's indeed the question. Why even do such a thing? That's so. I haven't heard anything about that. But if that's true, well, he was an enemy combatant. He was an agent of the opposition, attempting to undermine our honorable efforts. I ain't the murdering type, but that's just me. Large organizations like our union have all sorts of men, with all sorts of skills.
He believes the Hardy Boys could have done it.
No problem. I wish the best to you in your search. Sure, I'm glad it's not my search. Los Ardis? They're an independent militant. They're sort of like you.
Is he actually comparing you, an officer of the law? Come on. He's just trying to keep the peace. The man whispers a jaunty tune. A coastal breeze ruffles his hair. Volumetric ship compressor. Bizarre scientific news from Revachol West today, where a police officer's shit has been observed at a pressure of around 495 gigadecimals. These metallic hydrogen levels of shit-togetherness were thought to exist only at the center of collapsing stars, not law officials. It remains to be seen how long the shit singularity lasts. The tear machine stands in the corner. Your bottles clunk into the machine. There are several footprints in the mud, left by work boots. Anywhere from 6 to 12 pairs have walked here. Sitting at a desk, Lieutenant Kitsuragi fiddles with a pen, then writes something on the paper in front of him. He shouldn't be doing that. He should be here discussing the footprints.
Fuck does Kuno care? Kuno doesn't fucking care. Fuck does Kuno care? The fuck about it? You're testing Kuno's... Get lost! Yeah? The kingdom of Kuno? The fuck do you... Yeah, whatever. Kuno doesn't give a shit. Kuno doesn't...
The dented yellow mailbox greets you with its graffito and bullet holes in the front.
Hello again, sir. Crime fiction is about murders or burglaries or things like that, and the work of a policeman or a private detective who's trying to solve a crime and catch the criminals. It's exciting to people, I guess. They get to imagine dangerous things, and it's kind of like a puzzle, where you can guess who the criminal is, or how the good guys are going to catch him. You don't look much like a policeman. Didn't mean to offend, sir. Sorry, sir. It's just that you don't look like Dick Mullen.
She looks at Dick Mullen, frowning. That's not a healthy look. Muscles get bigger, heart grows weaker. He isn't even drawn right. She examines the picture, trying to find whatever is wrong with it. She then shrugs and puts the book aside, unconvinced.
Sure you can, sir. He's just a fictional character. He'll be no match for you. Maybe you can show me some real police work, sir. Like in the books. It's the type of book where there's a rich lady and she has to choose between the good man and the bad man. Or there could be a story about a poor lady getting a rich man. It's about man and lady business, sir. It happens, but usually the guy gets rich in the process. Or should actually be rich himself, but has lost his family property unjustly, like during the revolution or something. Those are unhappy books, for most of the pages. People sad about what they have lost, but then it all turns out just fine in the end. These are not very common. You can't have a choice between bad and bad. Nobody wants to read a story like that. Well, maybe then it's fine. Maybe if the lady then decides not to pick either, because she doesn't need a bad man. Yes, that would be interesting. That's really not a proper romance story. That's more like everyday life. Not in romance books, sir. These are about nice and pretty people, and everyone is happy in the end. I haven't read many of those. Maybe you should ask Mum. I'm sure she can help out. Anything else you're curious about? Maybe some about other books? Oh, kings and queens and generals of old, or artists and writers, or musicians, those kinds of people. There's usually something extraordinary about them. I think that's why people read them, to find the secrets of their fame.
Seems like most people who read those books fail to get more famous from reading them.
Oh, that's Auntie Billy. She's nice if a bit distressed. No, sir. She's a working woman who comes to look at the books a lot. I think she is a bad husband. Not very nice or helpful. No, sir, I can't. It would be too tiring to refrain from it. It's already tiring enough to remember to say it all the time. It's nice of you to say I could stop, though. That's a friendly enough face, most of the time. No, sir, I can't. It would be too tiring to refrain from it. It's already tiring enough to remember to say it all the time. It's nice of you to say I could stop, though. By your command.
No, I don't.
The woman before you nods and
Hello again, esteemed officer, and welcome to Crime, Romance, and Biographies of... Okay, but please, only a few questions. You wouldn't want to disturb the spirits. It's not good to talk about the curse, not in detail. The negativism, it's dangerous. Talking about the void wraiths angers them.
Wow. Void raves. You have new words. Such wraiths may prove a formidable enemy. Suit up.
Yes, I've contacted numerous parapsychologists and even a pair of Simonese mediators. They provided me with the wards. The wards help to keep the doom at bay and protect us against the darkness that lies further in the building, even though now I fear it's not enough. Oh, this? No, it's a special Himian amulet, blessed by desert pygmy shamans, with a spell of compulsion. It's to compel people to buy books. There are numerous spells cast throughout the store. I had the books anointed with a different inducement spell, for example. It's guaranteed to boost sales 15%.
Desert pygmy shamans. That sounds like a rather questionable way to describe a group of people. Doesn't seem like the spell is working. There are no customers around except you.
Sir, I am well educated in the commercial and esoteric arts. I know what to do and what to avoid. Discount my wares? I can see, sir, that you don't value books very highly. Besides, this would only tempt the phantoms of doom. They can sense the desperation, you know. Oh, there are numerous...
Desert pygmy shamans. Doesn't seem like the spell is working. There are no customers around except you.
Sir, I am well educated in the commercial and esoteric arts. I know what to do and what to avoid. You're right. A bookstore wasn't even my original plan. I actually wanted to sell esoteric paraphernalia to help to balance out this neighborhood's dark energies. My husband suggested otherwise. He said it's less stupid, more appropriate, cultured and all that. But being cultured doesn't offer any protection against the curse, does it? Maybe I shouldn't have listened to him after all. Yes, the Simonese are very crafty and their wards are extremely powerful. Lesser wards simply won't do here.
The woman before you scans the store, her shoulders rigid and tense. Every now and then, she nudges her glasses.
Goodness, you were already doing good, browsing the shelves. Why'd you stop? Don't you feel compelled? Go, go! Get back there. The books await you. Everything is on the shelves. Take a look yourself. The shelves compel you, don't they?
She's attempting to mentally direct you towards the shelves. She only wants you to buy the goods. She doesn't care about the books.
Truth be told, not really. My sister brings in most of the goods. I'm sure it's all very literary stuff with well-written prose. But you don't learn about the important things in life from fabricated stories. The truth is available if you just know where to look, and you have to open and free your mind to understand. Truth be told, but you don't learn about the important things in life from fabricated stories. The truth is available if you just know where to look, and you have to open and free your mind to
She smiles and nods, seemingly relieved.
Annette, yes, my daughter. I hope she wasn't slacking off again with her nose in science fiction. Tell me, was she at her post doing her job like a proper girl? Wonderful! Did you talk to her? Why not? Was she not friendly enough? Were you not compelled to talk to her? Oh yes, okay, that makes sense. It's working then. Yes. Do browse our books, sir. As a young girl should be, with the proper attitude, she'll have a bright financial future.
The woman before you scans the store, her shoulders rigid and tense. Every now and then, she nudges her glasses. A small mountain of colorful board game boxes. There are numerous types of games for all ages.
Wonderful board games, sir. The Viticulturist is a classic for sure, or perhaps you'd like Archipelagos of Insulinda, a very educational game for those interested in geography. Braubritter is a fun game of economic competition, but can get quite intense after a while. We have games for the whole family. You can play with your children. Friends are technically like family. For playing with friends, I'd recommend Suzerainty. It's a civilization building game where you build a civilization, then set off to brutally colonize and repress other civilizations. It'll cost 12 real. Lousy auras there. No, role-playing games are popular among those types. You know, who are into those kind of things. Personally, I don't like it. Not at all. I've heard they turn people into occult enthusiasts. That they have rituals where they try to summon entities. Highly immoral stuff. You can still buy
An endless variety of source books, lore books, and codices litter the table. The topmost book is titled Welkin Compendium, 2nd edition. There's also a large hardbound tome with intricate cover art, The Hunters of Katawak, Boreal Creature Compendium, and a Pick Your Path adventure gamebook titled Tales of Wirral, Cavern of Velkrag. Books in a board game section? Who wants to read books? There's a box that says Wirral, 3rd edition Mega Setting Supplements Module. The side panel notes, a fantastique adventure board game, new maps and miniatures. A sticker on it displays 25 real. That price is steep, but then it's the 3rd edition Mega Setting Supplement, so it makes sense. Nonsense for anemic Beano-clads. The display rack is brimming with worn paperbacks featuring an extremely muscular, sword-wielding barbarian on the cover. This is entirely, completely you. You have found the right books.
Oh, Man from Hjelmdal. A very popular series of adventure novels. They're awfully immoral and violent books. Blood and violence, scantily clad women, epic narratives, all those mystical things he encounters. They're bound to grab those with little imagination and nothing to do. What does it matter? They're all the same. However, the customer is always right, they say. If you're a novice of the series, I'd recommend Hjelmdalaman, The Man from Hjelmdal. It's supposed to be a good introduction to the series.
Rows and rows of Hjelmdalamen blur your vision. You make out some titles. Man from Hjelmdal and the Mammoth Riders. Man from Hjelmdal, Return to Hjelmdal. And the solipsistic Man from Hjelmdal and the Hjelmdal Man. Maybe 100. Man from Hjelmdal and the Sages at the End of the World. Man from Hjelmdal and the False God. Man from Hjelmdal and the Scorched Earth. Man from Hjelmdal, the Hjelmdal Colonies. Man from Hjelmdal and the Swamp Beast. Man from Hjelmdal and the Snow Crabs. Those snow crabs are worse than they sound. Not even close. Man from Hjelmdal in Hell. Man from Hjelmdal and the Forest of Slaves. Man from Hjelmdal under the lake. Man from Hjelmdal, Hjelmdal Burning. There's even The Trial of Death, a pastoral combat gamebook set in the world of Hjelmdalaman, and so much more. A twinge at the back of your head makes you flinch. Your eye starts twitching. Your hand reaches toward a book with glossy cover art of the very muscular Man from Hjelmdal in chains, kneeling in front of a staircase leading to a throne. A woman sits on the throne, leering at the man. Between the throne and the Hyamdala man lies a bonfire, casting shadows on the wall. The shadow of the woman's headdress looks like a pair of devil horns. The title reads, Man from Hyamdal and the Devil Woman. The display rack before you is burdened under piles of Man from Hyamdal novels. Shelves filled to the brim with crime novels featuring the supposedly crime fiction is a disgrace. An asinine misrepresentation of the physical attributes of the arduous everyday work of actual police officers. These books greatly overstate the excitement of police work, glossing over how long it takes to actually follow up on leads and eliminate dead ends. Furthermore, they have no idea how hard it is to simply remove a body from a tree. What's more, they completely ignore the psychological hardships of year after year coming into contact with people during the worst days of their lives. Not a single mention of all the stress this work creates upon the officer's family. Detective fiction just doesn't tell the truth at all. Now, would you like a list of all the books found on the shelf? You see Dick Mullen on the job. Get me Mullen. The stalwart, a killing is declared. Dick Mullen in the murder house. The owner turns out he fated to solve a case. Yes, there's also Tragedy Calls for Dick Mullen. After all this, you still haven't found the answer to the one question that matters. Who is Dick Mullen? Shelves full of biographies of famous people, whoever they are. Browsing through all the books with all their names makes your head spin. None of these seem important or relevant. It's all just vapid egoism. Suddenly, a particularly odd title catches your eye. It reads, High-Speed Love, the tragic true love story of Jacob Irv and Alfie Delatraz, by one Cecilia Averbrook. High-Speed Love chronicles the romance between two of the finest tip-top tourney racers in history. One of them, next to Irv's life story, you see a slim biography of an Occidental rock star called the Anti-Star. He's famous for shooting morphine into one of his eyeballs and cocaine into the other. Next to that, Revacholian radio personnel.
I really must insist you buy one of the books. Reading them is not for free. Do still browse, though, but not too long. I'm sorry, I did not mean to rush you. You are browsing. Go ahead. Take your time. Time is commerce.
This bookstore is not strictly about crime, romance, and biographies of famous people. Amidst the various books, you find one written by someone named Matthias W. Dunn. These three things are very important to the working class mind. The point of the book, and many others on this shelf, is to give people its serves platitudes, while also telling everyone that traditional medicine, the kind people wholeness, unity, when it's up to your mind to heal yourself, then it's because of your mind that you're ill in the first place. It's your own fault if you're ill. Got it? Various paranatural books still litter the shelf. Several maps have been attacked. The maps look old and faded. Your eye catches a map of Insulinda, a map of Revachol, and a map of Martinez. This large map displays archipelagos. You see a constellation of small dots on the light blue emptiness of the Ozon, Laurentide, Fas Alamir archipelagos disintegrating into mathematics. In the northeast, a dust mite stands on the north coast of Caillou in a bookstore. It's you. Radiating outwards from you, the suzerain Revachol. With a you can, on Caillou, Revachol, a single black star On Oz, 850 million people live on these little dots, an oceanic world of culture. The ocean breaks apart into a tangle of cosigns and azimuth connections to other worlds. Words past the Insulindian, unknown to you. You have little idea what they are. Distant stars, gods. But looking at them makes you feel almost Perhaps they are gods. Gods of distance and...
I'm sorry, officer. The map of Martinez is the only one available. The other two are not for sale anymore. And besides, you could scarcely afford them. They're quite valuable, though they might not look it. The map of Martinez is 90 cents, though. Yes, yes. Are you interested or not?